Something I was definitely not expecting was little Billy the Puppet strolling up on the stage of the most recent Summer's Game Fest and revealing a whole ass new Saw game. I genuinely freaked the fuck out because of how much I absolutely adore the Saw movies. We don't know too much about the game right now, but I'm going to go over everything we currently do know. Now, I know the game is set in World War I, which had me a bit disappointed at first, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's such a cool fucking idea. You know how people say medieval torture is the worst torture in history? That's kind of how I'm viewing this. Obviously, back in World War I, technology and machinery wasn't as good or refined, therefore I feel like there's an opportunity here to make it just more raw and painful and cruel. The simpler the jigsaw trap, almost the more painful it will seem. While the more elaborate games and traps in the franchise are cool, there's something just so evil about the simple ones. The John Kramer replacement character so far is only known as the Judge. His description reads, "The identity of the Judge is currently unknown, but the reveal trailer gives us tidbits of information of his background and what appears to have motivated him to proceed with his deadly trials." Before his role as the Judge, he was a soldier who served in World War I as a field medic. He's seen in the war-torn field holding the body of a fallen comrade, crying in anguish with his lower jaw split completely open. A terrible event unfolded in which he found himself to be the sole survivor. With newfound purpose after his experience in World War I, he has constructed deadly chambers, devices, and trials to which his subjects, the accused, find themselves having to overcome to earn their freedom. His appearance is that of an older man, with any age ranging from his mid-40s to early 60s, with blue eyes, pale skin, and grayish blonde hair. Very similar to John Kramer. Due to his vicious injury, the Judge wears a face mask, presumably tied to an oxygen container. His wardrobe, based on what we've seen, consists of dark clothing with seemingly red or maroon lining, as well as sporting white gloves on his hands. Now here's the interesting part. In the trailer, John Kramer, the man who would be widely known as the Jigsaw Killer, seems to talk to him in spirit with much high regard, with him calling his presumable predecessor a prophet. John even seems to have gotten into possession of a book the Judge had once used with drawings and sketches of his heinous devices within the pages, as well as a spiral made out of blood from a severed finger on the cover. John finishes this by saying how his book inspires those who are worthy. This would all seem to imply that John Kramer took much interest in the Judge's work, so much so that he must have found him as an inspiration to John's mission for the games he would go on to create himself after he survived a deadly ordeal after his cancer diagnosis. I like this whole tie-in with the continuing idea of the Book of Saw, previously mentioned in the movie Spiral, which was completely its own thing, but about someone who was inspired by John's ideals, just like John seems to be for this Judge character. Now, the big question I would like to propose here is that, is this a retcon of sorts for the character of John Kramer? And my answer to that would be, kinda? It's implied in the movies that John comes up with all his own ideas, but it's never outright said where he got them from. I would say if it is a retcon, obviously this game is not canon. We could probably just think of it as an alternate universe where more people in the world are fucked up, I guess. This entire concept and idea is very cool nonetheless, not with just the gameplay that seems to be very similar to something like the Outlast trials, but also the lore implications that could kind of tie into the movies if you as the viewer wanted them to. It seems like the Judge will be able to choose what traps and trials the victims go through, as well as trying to sabotage you, just like Amanda Young and Mark Hoffman would in their respective movies. So, you know, not exactly Jigsaw approved since he likes his fair games. That makes for a very fun gameplay mechanic. Speaking of fun gameplay mechanics, the only thing that really caught my attention about playing the opposing team, the accused, is the loss of limbs mechanic. So as you progress further in the trials and do more traps, you could lose an eye, a hand, a foot, and that would actually change your gameplay because then there would be some interactive things that you can't do anything with, basically making the game harder for you, making it to where your teammates are gonna have to pick up your slack. And just that concept alone sounds fucking awesome and potentially really funny when playing with friends. As far as I know, that's basically all the information we have currently. I'm sure characters like Jigsaw, Amanda, and Hoffman will be cosmetic skins for the Judge, and imagine they might add trials and games from the movies as actual playable levels, which would be pretty cool. But I also won't be disappointed if they don't do that because I am looking forward to something new and creative. So with that being said, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about because that's all we know. The game looks awesome. I will be playing it non-stop on day one, so let me know what you guys think about all this, and thanks for watching.